A shortcut key to enter transactions in SAP is called as your transaction code. So I think in one of your questions, I saw some transaction code FB60 or something, vendor invoice. So what is FB60? This is your shortcut key for you to enter the vendor invoice. Clear? Now, if at all you want to do it traditionally, there is in the SAP screen, you have a space for you to enter your transaction code, or you can navigate through the SAP screen to reach this place. All right. So this is about your transaction codes. For somebody who's interested to understand what is a transaction code, this is the one. We'll take a short breather, maybe say 2 to 3 minutes. Gather yourself, think about whatever has happened from class number 1. Need not necessarily be from today or yesterday's session, whatever. Nothing. You can ask me questions even from the first session. Clear? So I'll stop talking for maybe say 2-3 minutes and wait for your questions. Then we will continue with our topics. I was just going through a few of the questions. Which module has authorization to maintain or enter vendor or customer master data? Now, in the morning when we discussed accounts payable, I said Two modules are responsible for maintaining the vendor master, depending on whether you have to have a interaction with the other modules. So I said we basically categorize or classify the vendors into finance related vendors or integration related vendors. Integration means you have a process to be followed as far as your activity takes place in the relevant departments. So what do I mean by finance? Only finance vendor? Small time vendors where you would not require any intervention of any other module, the purchase department or anybody. You don't have an intervention. So in that case, the maintenance or the creation of the customer or the vendor master data is very much with the respective modules. Finance is obviously there, and it is the material management module and the sales and distribution module which is responsible for maintaining their portion of the data in the relevant masters. I hope I have answered that question. ABAON, can somebody please hold on? Asset related, just hold on. Can you explain accounts payable in brief? Okay, I'll do that. How we navigate transaction? Sorry, I didn't understand this question. How we navigate transaction code? I didn't understand this question. Can you please clarify? SAP can be used by any business, not only for the manufacturing industry. As you said, you were right when we spoke about initial SAP, but not anymore. SAP now is used by the other industries, not only the manufacturing industry. It is used by the service industries also. Here, not necessarily manufacturing. And when we started SAP, SAP was used only by cash-rich companies. Only the rich companies who could afford SAP were using SAP. But now it is not so. Even the medium and the small industries, they are also using, small enterprises, even they are using SAP. It all depends upon what the business wants from SAP. So based on that, it uses. Okay. I hope I have answered all the questions, what has been asked. Just hold on with this question, please. Okay, let us not get into this as of now. So we still have something called as the asset accounting. After we finish with the customers, we will take it up. So I hope things are getting clearer, though the coverage is increasing, but I can also tell you that things are getting interesting. Lot many more things what you wanted to understand from SAP, right? Now, somebody asked me to explain the accounts payable. What does accounts payable deal with? Accounts payable deals with vendors. It is basically responsible for ensuring that your procurement activity or your purchase activity is taken care of smoothly. So your production activities are not stopped because of non-payment. So accounts payable is responsible for managing a healthy relationship with our major vendors in ensuring that the payment reaches them on time. First point. It is also responsible for, okay, now, how does the activity start? How does the accounts payable activity actually start? Or even as a matter of fact, your accounts receivable. Both your activities, they start with the creation of the individual master records. In accounts payable or in your bills payable, what earlier it was called, we are dealing with the vendors and the customers. So here again, whenever you want to create a master data, not everybody is authorized to create the vendor or the customer master data. Not everybody in the organization is authorized to create the customer and the vendor master data. Now in the live setup, even as a matter of fact, any general ledger account also, nobody, or rather let me put it this way, not anybody has the authorization or the access to create master data. Let it be your general ledger account, let it be your customer, your vendor, your assets, your cost centers, profit centers, segments. Clear? So we have not yet touched profit centers and cost centers, not to worry about it. So we will take it up when we touch upon the management accounting module. All right. Now, what exactly do we do in our accounts payable? You can have two categories of vendors. Basically, one which is being handled by only the finance, and the other master data, which becomes the responsibility of the other module also. So the maintenance of the individual master records is dual responsibility. One obviously is your finance. The other one is your material management module. Okay. So once you create, so how is the responsibility differentiated? Now we were talking not see small time vendors. That is, you do interact with them, but the size of the business is too small. For example, your stationery vendor, your coffee and tea vendor, maybe any other small time vendors where you are finishing off the transaction through a simple journal voucher. You pay for the services, maybe say immediately on a day-to-day basis. Suppose you spend 1,000 rupees per day on your coffee and tea for your staff. So you may make the payment every day. Every evening, you make a payment to your coffee and tea vendors. Perfect. Now, for such kind of vendors, where do you see the involvement of your purchase department? Is the purchase department ever involved in this transaction? Absolutely not. It is the responsibility, the responsibility of the payment lies entirely with the finance department. So this particular transaction ends at the finance level itself. A journal voucher is raised, generated in SAP, payment is made. Let us say tea and coffee expenses account, debit to cash, 500 rupees, over. But when you're talking about big transactions, large voluminous transactions, like say purchase of your raw materials. Now, why do you think raw materials is a big thing? Now, why do you think this transaction is large? This is large because the purchase of raw materials is does not involve small amount. It involves lots of approvals, lots of funds have to be arranged, and it has to undergo a lot of authorizations. So I just cannot purchase costly items on an everyday basis. I cannot purchase raw materials every day because my very basic business is production. And if I have not planned for my raw materials, I'm not going to do well. So this involves a lot of things to be approved. The finance department also has to know about this purchase. It is not only between the production department and the purchase department. Why? Because it has to authorize, it has to arrange for the funds. Tomorrow, at the time of making payment to the vendor, the finance department should not say that I didn't know about this transaction. I didn't know that I had to make a payment for the vendor to an extent of 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs. So the approval process, the approval for the purchase process is actually finalized by all the departments sitting together and authorizing the purchase order. Authorizing the purchase order means the activity, that means to say the purchase activity is authorized. And each department is aware that the other department also is aware of the information. So tomorrow the purchase department cannot say that no, I didn't know, or the finance department cannot say that I didn't know. It is like this. So basically, based on the nature of the vendor, you create the master records, and basically the master data is managed by both your finance and as well as your material management people, FI module and your MMO. Now, who is responsible for what portion of the master data? Now, the vendor master data contains 3 different levels or 3 different views. Your general data view, the company code data view, and your purchasing organization level of data. Right now, you have already read in the slides saying that what comprises of the general data. The general data comprises of the vendor's address, the telephone number, the fax number, contact person, whatever, generic information. In the next segment of the data, which is referred to as the finance part of the information or the company code segment of your vendor master data, this is the place where the accounts payable module interacts with the finance module. This is your first step of integration. Clear? How is the link established? We also spoke about something called as a reconciliation account. This is the connecting point for your finance and your AP or even your AR modules or even your asset accounting module. Clear? So, and the process where it gets linked is called as account determination. Clear? As similar to the finance level of information, the purchase information as regards a vendor is also very much there and it has to be taken care of. So who's responsible for managing this level of information or this segment of information? It is the material management module, which is responsible for managing this segment of the vendor master data. Right now, the first and the foremost, whenever we are talking about the vendors or the customers or the assets, or even as a matter of fact, general ledger. We categorize the data. In this case, since we are talking about accounts payable, we categorize the nature of vendors. The categorization could be based on the business volume you generate. It could be even the geographical location, say North Karnataka, South Karnataka, East Karnataka, West Karnataka, or say North India, East India, Western India, Southern India, or international vendors and local vendors. So it all depends on how I'm satisfying the business requirement of my implementing party. One more factor could be the volume of business. What is the amount? What is the money's worth that each one of the vendors is generating? What is the volume of business that I am giving to each one of the vendors? Clear? Now, the most important thing what we discussed today, most of the time we were talking about only the automatic payment program. One of the most critical things, see, even in your normal business in the sense without SAP, don't you think payment to the vendors is a very, very critical activity? Because once you make a wrong payment, adjusting that payment would be very, very difficult. Of course, you can have various adjustment methodologies with your vendor. That is still there. But you should have such a foolproof system that it is not allowing you to go wrong while you're releasing the payments. Yeah. So this is through your APP, automatic payment program. Yeah. Now, so as I have said, to make the payments to n number of vendors automatically. This is very important. Just imagine the effort if you have to release the payment to 500 vendors. Okay. So to reduce the manual intervention, you have automated the whole of the SAP system to take care of this particular requirement. What is the requirement? Making or releasing payments to hundreds and hundreds of vendors automatically. So what should the program do? The program should pick up the invoices which are to be paid, actually paid. They should not be overdue, because once you make a late payment, your vendor may post or he may post some penalty. Okay, for your wrong payment, you need to pay some interest. That is a different concept. Okay, now, so the system should be in a position to release payments on time. Also should ensure that it is paying the invoices and also enjoys the discount. Need not have to pay any penalty for delayed payment. The program should also be able to block the payments for certain vendors who are not up to the mark. It should also ensure that enough money is available in the bank to carry out the payment. So these are the things which must be checked by the program. That is why you are automating it. If you have to do all these things manually, just imagine the work. What is a manpower? what is the effort, what is the time, correct? So if you automate a system which can take care of all this, what more can I ask for? Wonderful, right? Now, at the end of successfully making the payment, the system should also be in a position to clear off the open invoices, or the invoices which were due after being paid should be having the cleared status. It should be cleared. It should also be in a position to generate the checks for all the, if at all you are still following the check payment, you should ensure that the checks are released. So how do we ensure this? So there is a huge understanding with the bank. So what my business does is we understand with the format which the bank gives me. All right. So it should be standardized. The format for which the bank releases the payment and gives me the information should be standardized so that the system understands. All right. Now, it should also generate a financial entry in the form of a clearing document. It should also generate a entry which nullifies the invoices which are due for payment. So the purchase account got a debit. Now, after generation, after successfully executing the payment program, the purchase account now must be credited. Yeah. Balance confirmations. It should also be in a position to generate a report where I check my outstanding with my vendors. Same thing I do with my customers also. I send my customers the information that this amount is due from your end. This is what my reports are showing. Do we both agree? So this process is called as balance confirmations. You strike off or you confirm what balance you need to pay or what is the amount that you should receive from your respective vendors and customers. Understood? This is what we looked at from the accounts payable portion. Okay, looks like Kunal has answered some of the questions. Thanks, Kunal. Any other questions? I would not want to start out on any topic afresh. We will have a fresh discussion starting tomorrow morning by 11 a.m. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. It could be from any topic, not necessarily only accounts payable. We have 14 more minutes to wind up. So I leave you with all the 14 minutes to pump in questions to me.
Yes, sir. There is a question.
Let me take it up, Kunal. In the Q&A?
Sure, sir. Yes, sir. In new section.
Okay. Will the transaction cost be different for different entities? For example, T equals 4. Okay. Okay. What is FB60? Okay. See, this question is a wonderful question. Will the transaction codes be different for different entities? Now, transaction codes could be customized. Now, for example, BHCL can have its own transaction codes for retrieval of invoices, vendor invoices. SAIL, SAIL can also have its own customized transaction code for the same activity. Yes, they can have the standard transaction codes also. See, for example, let me explain. Now there is an example. What is, somebody has asked me, what is FB60? What is FB60? 2. So what happens here? The entry will be this is the entry which happens in this transaction code. Now, as regards the customization, this is standard. This is as delivered by SAP. Now, if I want in my organization, it should not be FB60, but it should be something else. I don't want to use the standards. So normally, as a standard practice, whenever I want to have a customized transaction code, this is a standard transaction code. This we call it as a. Now, if you want to customize this, normally we always prefix the customized transaction code to ZFB60. Normally. So I can have this in BEML or in SAIL or in BEL or in ITI or in HAL or in HMT, whatever. It all depends on whether I want to have a change in the transaction codes. So simple. Whenever I can have standard T codes or I can have customized transaction codes also. So what is the difference between this standard and this customized? This also is to record, it is for the same purpose. It is just a requirement of the organization because of various reasons. The reasons could be N number of reasons could be there where I want to have a customized transaction codes. But all you need to understand is this is a standard practice where we always prefix. You can also have standardized, you can also have customized reports. You can have customized transaction codes, whatever. But it is a standard practice that we always prefix any of the customizations with Z. Right? I hope I've answered your question. I just did give you a brief thing about what we did today. Today's topic AP. Can you brush up? Yes, I have already done it. Tomorrow morning again, we can just have a brief recap. SAP connected with bank service, like as soon as we need to manually updating. Just wait for this. I will tell you how this happens. Okay. Yes, does have a debit note and credit note features, credit memos. We discussed this, right? What is a debit memo? Debit memo is nothing but an invoice. Okay. All right. Yeah, you can have it as an interface also. Like even in cases of SAP, not all the requirements from the implementing partner can be met by SAP alone. So what we do is we identify the apt interfaces. Like now, this is an interface. Now see, there was Oracle using another and SAP was using payroll department. So finally, when you want to consolidate, there has to be some interface. Clear? So we use a lot of interfaces based on the project requirements. So this could be one of the typical examples. And I said, just wait for this. Very nice. You people are interacting. Very good. Very good. OK. It definitely has a feature of debit notes and credit notes. Yes. How transactions are recorded if we have received goods in lot sizes? This is taken care of if you are talking about the purchase. Suppose if we have, just correct me if I've understood your question the other way. Or can you explain this question in a much better way? Can I have more clarity on this question? How transactions are recorded if we have received goods in lot sizes? You mean to say in today I receive 10 kgs, tomorrow I receive 10 kgs, day after tomorrow I receive 10 kgs? Is that what you mean? Okay, no new questions. Fine. Okay, so now whenever we receive goods in blocks, let me say I have ordered for 100 kgs. Today I receive 40 kgs, tomorrow I receive 25 kgs. What happens? It is see, you match the receipts against your purchase order, right? Your purchase order will not be complete till you receive the 100 kgs. So finally, your purchase order should be closed for you to make the payment, right? Unless and until it is not a stage-wise payment, your PO will not be closed at all. So till he completes till he honors the purchase order, he will not be paid. So every purchase will be matched against the purchase order. You will see this in the whenever I take up the integration, you will see all this. So here, if you had heard to the last part of my discussion, I said there is an understanding whenever I'm setting up the automatic payment program, I will be in an understanding with the bank as regards how it is going to send back the information to my system. I upload that particular input from the bank in the standardized format and I reconcile. I hope I've answered this point. So there is an understanding between my business and the bank as regards in what format we are exchanging data. And even this is standardized. Okay. I hope I have answered this question. We have new questions. This is a different concept. The security, the bank security or the bank guarantees. How SAP deals with it is a different discussion. It is not in the normal transactions. It is referred to as a special general ledger transaction. And the way SAP handles it is different. There is a concept called as special GL. Okay. And this is how SAP handles the security, the bank security or the bank guarantees provided to the bank. Clear? It's a different methodology. Another new question? And the normal invoices are matched against the bank guarantees or the security deposit, whatever. All right. And how SAP handles? Let us see. Okay, let me see. It's a different way SAP handles this. Shall we close today's session, Kunal? Kunal?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think we can wind up the session for today.
All right. So see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, student, for today's session. Right now, we are ending this session for today. Again, we will meet you tomorrow by 11 o'clock. Stay tuned.
Thank you.